Are you looking for an edge, flexible income, and immediate professional respect? Discover the hidden opportunity of becoming a public official with the book, Becoming a Notary by Derek Sproul. This beginner's guide provides the universal roadmap to launch your new career. You will learn the core mission of deterring fraud, the essential tools of the trade, and exactly how to protect yourself while building a respected business. Get your copy of Becoming a Notary on Amazon, and step into a rewarding profession.
Welcome to Notary Knowledge. We're your hosts, Eddie Montes Travis and Marylyn Trotter.
Yeah, we are so incredibly glad to have you joining us today.
Absolutely. And before we get completely lost in today's deep dive into the source material, we really want to encourage you to check out our video podcast, No Notary, with Eddie Montes Travis.
Right, and also Marylyn's 90 Seconds of Notary. They're fantastic visual companions to what we do here.
They really are. And, if you are truly serious about mastering your craft, we strongly encourage you to buy the Notary Knowledge books by Derek Sproul.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And make sure to visit the Notary Knowledge website, too. There are just incredible resources there.
For sure. Also, please take a second to rate the show, subscribe, and share the podcast with others. It really helps us keep bringing this content directly to you.
Yeah, it means a lot. So if you've been listening to our prior episodes, you know we've laid down the foundational elements of notarial acts.
Right, like the basic differences between acknowledgments and jurats.
Exactly. But today is an entirely different beast. It's a specialized masterclass.
We are doing Texas Handbook trivia today, focusing entirely on Texas laws.
Yeah, so we've structured this deep dive as exactly 10 multiple choice questions.
And these are designed to aggressively test your knowledge of, Texas administrative codes, government codes, and some massive recent legislative updates.
We're talking about the seismic shifts from House Bill 255 and Senate Bill 693.
The stakes here, they really couldn't be higher. Even veteran professionals stumble on this stuff.
Oh, all the time.
Right, because we're looking at the mechanics of state jail felonies, unauthorized practice of law, and strict physical rules for your tools.
It's a lot, so let's just jump directly into the fire with our first trivia block.
I love it. So before a notary can even pick up a stamp, they have to get past the state's rigorous background checks. The barrier to entry is pretty high.
Yeah, it really is.
So here's question 1. Under Texas law, which of the following permanently disqualifies a resident from becoming a notary public unless they receive a pardon?
Okay, let's hear the options.
Option A is a Class C misdemeanor conviction. Option B is any final conviction for a crime involving moral turpitude.
Mm-hmm.
Option C is being 19 years old. And option D is being a legal resident of Texas, but not a U.S. citizen.
All right, take 2 or 3 seconds to lock in your answer.
Got it. Okay, the correct answer is B, any final conviction for a crime involving moral turpitude.
Yeah. Option B. And let's actually break down the core eligibility here, because options C and D represent incredibly common misconceptions.
Absolutely. We see people arguing about those on forums all the time.
Right. So the age requirement in Texas is 18. Being 19, like in option C, is perfectly fine. You're legally an adult.
And what about the citizenship thing in option D?
So U.S. citizenship is actually not legally required by Texas to hold a commission. You can be a legal permanent resident.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but state residency is absolutely mandatory.
Right, so you have to actually live in Texas.
Exactly. That residency requirement is ironclad. If you get your commission while living in Dallas and 2 years later you move your primary residence across the border to Oklahoma,
Your commission is just gone.
it's immediately invalidated, yeah. You cannot take it with you, and you definitely can't commute across state lines to use it.
That makes sense. But let's look at the correct answer, because moral turpitude is just this phrase that carries massive legal weight.
Uncompromising weight, yeah.
I always look at the application process almost like applying for a high-level security clearance. You submit to the Department of Public Safety background check.
You do.
But why is the state so aggressively focused on that specific phrase, moral turpitude, while explicitly ignoring something like a Class C misdemeanor?
Well, under Title I of the Texas Administrative Code, Section 87.URNC, a crime involving moral turpitude is defined very specifically.
Okay, what does it actually cover?
It includes acts of dishonesty, fraud, deceit, misrepresentation, or deliberate violence.
So it's about your core character.
Exactly. It inherently reflects adversely on your honesty. The whole philosophy of the office is that you are the state's first line of defense against document fraud.
You're an impartial witness.
Right. Commissioned by the Secretary of State to establish irrefutable trust.
So, if I get a Class C misdemeanor, which is like a traffic ticket, right?
Yeah, usually a traffic ticket or a really minor infraction.
Like leaving my trash cans out too long, that doesn't mean I'm fundamentally deceitful. I just drove too fast.
Exactly the distinction the state makes. A traffic ticket doesn't indicate you'd lie on a mortgage document.
Right.
But a Class A or B misdemeanor involving, say, fraud or embezzlement, that absolutely speaks to your capacity for honesty.
And if you have a final conviction for deceit, you just cannot be trusted to act as an impartial witness.
Right. And we really have to talk about the financial architecture behind that trust, too.
Oh, the surety bond.
Yes, the surety bond. Every single Texas notary has to maintain a $10,000 surety bond for their entire 4-year commission.
But I think a lot of people completely misunderstand what that bond actually does. Like, it's not liability insurance for the notary, right?
No, it absolutely is not. The surety bond protects the public from you.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, if you commit an error or official misconduct and a citizen loses money because of your fraudulent notarization, they make a claim against your bond.
So the bonding company pays the citizen up to 10 grand.
Right, to make them whole. But then the bonding company turns around and comes after you to recoup that money.
Which perfectly explains the strict background checks.
Yeah.
Bonding companies are just assessing risk.
Exactly. If you have a history of fraud, you're an extreme liability. They don't want to underwrite you, and the state won't accept the risk.
Is the gateway entirely shut if you have a past conviction, though?
Not entirely, but it is heavily guarded. You have to submit certified copies of your court paperwork, plus a detailed written statement explaining the offense.
So you have to actually prove rehabilitation.
Yeah, before they even consider reviewing your application.
Man, the state is handing you a tool of immense power, which perfectly transitions us into looking at that physical tool itself.
The official seal.
Right. You project your authority outward into the world with your physical seal, but the state dictates exactly what that projection must look like.
Very strictly.
So that brings us to question number 2. According to Texas Government Code 40S OPO 013, which of the following is not required to be visible on a Texas notary seal?
Let's hear them.
Option A is a star of 5 points. Option B is the notary's identifying number. Option C is the county where the notary resides. Option D is the words Notary Public, State of Texas.
Give it 2 or 3 seconds to think.
All right, time's up. The correct answer is option C, the county where the notary resides.
Yes, you do not put your county on the Texas notary seal.
And this is such a trap for people who move to Texas from other states where county commissioning is the norm, right?
Oh, absolutely. In Texas, you have statewide jurisdiction. If you live in Travis County, you can drive to El Paso and legally perform a notarization.
Your authority covers all 254 counties.
Exactly. But while they give you vast geographic reach, they heavily restrict the physical blueprint of the seal itself.
So what exactly has to be on it?
You need the words Notary Public, State of Texas, placed in a circle around a star of 5 points.
Okay, got it.
You need your commission name, exactly as it appears on your state certificate, your commission expiration date.
And the ID number, right?
Yes, crucially, mandated for all commissions issued or renewed since 2016, you must have your unique notary ID number on there.
Now, I want to focus on the physical specifications, because you can't just, order a custom shape from an arts and crafts store.
No, the geometry is strictly regulated by the administrative code.
What are the exact dimensions?
It has to be either a circular form no more than 2 inches in diameter, or a rectangular form no more than 1 inch in width and 2.5 inches in length.
And there's a really specific physical detail that cheap stamp manufacturers always miss, isn't there?
Yes, the milled edge border. The seal must possess a serrated or milled edge border. If it's just a smooth line, it is not legally compliant.
That is wild. And we also have to talk about the ink, because a beautiful stamp means nothing if the county clerk can't read it when it's scanned.
Right. Legibility is a critical statutory requirement. The seal impression must be photographically reproducible.
So you need permanent ink.
Indelible ink, yeah. Black ink is strongly recommended, though not explicitly mandated by color, because black ensures the absolute highest contrast for digital scans.
What if someone uses one of those old school, traditional metal embossers?
Oh, the ones that physically crimp the paper? If you use that, you are legally required to take a secondary step.
Which is?
You have to use an impression inker.
Like essentially a solid inked surface you rub over the crimped paper?
Exactly. It darkens only the raised edges of the star and the text. If you just crimp the paper and leave it blank, the scanner sees nothing but white space.
And the document gets rejected.
Yep. But the most significant change to the seal recently doesn't even involve the ink or the shape.
It's about who gets to touch it.
Exactly. We need to look closely at House Bill 255. It introduced a critical new rule regarding the security of the seal.
This is a massive update. It addresses a chronic issue in the corporate world. HB 255 strictly prohibits notaries from providing a copy of their seal to anyone else.
Right. The seal can only be affixed to authenticate an official act.
So this ends that dangerous corporate practice of HR demanding practice stamps.
Yes. For years, HR departments would demand a newly commissioned employee stamp a blank sheet of paper to keep in their file.
Just to prove they had their stamp.
Right, or to keep it on record.
I always compare it to a police officer's badge. It belongs to the officer, not the precinct building.
That's a perfect analogy. The seal belongs to you as the commissioned individual, not the employer who paid your application fee.
Providing practice stamps on blank paper is now completely, explicitly illegal.
Because you're creating an unattached, authenticated seal that could just be photocopied and dropped onto a fraudulent document.
That is terrifying. And employers can't confiscate your seal if you leave your job either.
Absolutely not. There is a specific Texas Attorney General opinion, GA0723, that explicitly states an employer does not own a notary's record book or seal.
Even if the employer paid for all of it.
Even if they paid the bond, the supplies, the fee. The moment you walk out the door, those tools stay under your exclusive personal control.
So if you're listening to this right now and you know your HR department has a physical impression of your stamp in a filing cabinet,
you need to go request that paper back and shred it today. Period.
it is your liability.
Mm.
All right. Which brings us to the internal private counterpart to that public seal your record book.
Ah, the journal.
Keeping a meticulous journal is a notary's absolute best defense in court. But recording the wrong thing can actually put you in direct violation of state administrative law.
It's a tricky balance.
Very tricky.
So,
Question 3. Under Texas Administrative Code 87.50, what information is a Texas notary strictly prohibited from recording in their traditional journal?
okay, what are the choices?
Option A is the expiration date of the signer's ID. Option B is the mailing address of the signer. Option C is the serial or identifying number of the signer's government ID. Option D is a brief description of the document.
Go ahead and take 2 or 3 seconds to think about it.
Okay, the correct answer is C, this serial or identifying number of the signer's government ID.
Yes. This introduces a fascinating situation that we call the privacy paradox.
Let's unpack that. Texas law mandates that you keep a record book for every single notarial act, right?
Even if you are notarizing for a family member and you don't charge a single dime,
But TAC 87.5 narrow explicitly bans you from recording the exact piece of information that would best prove who was standing in front of you.
it feels counterintuitive at first. You want to document everything to protect yourself, but the state places a hard limit to protect the citizen's identity.
So no social security numbers.
No social security numbers. You cannot write down driver's license numbers, state ID card numbers, military ID numbers, or passport numbers.
What about thumbprints, like they do in California?
Strictly forbidden. You cannot record biometric identifiers like fingerprints or retinal scans in a Texas notary journal.
There is a very important nuance here brought about by House Bill 255.
Right.
While you cannot write down the literal string of numbers on the driver's license, the law now explicitly allows you to record the ID's expiration date.
Which is such a helpful update. Recording the expiration date threads the needle between security and privacy.
Because it proves the ID was legally current at the exact time of the notarization.
Exactly. A massive percentage of rejected or contested notarizations happen because the ID was expired.
So by logging the expiration date, you prove you did your diligence, but you protect the signer against identity theft.
Yes. But we should dig into why the state is so protective of this data inside your journal specifically.
Right, because a bank records ID numbers. Hospitals do it. Why is the notary record book treated like a radioactive hazard?
Because under Texas Government Code 406.014, your notary record book is fundamentally public information.
It is not your private diary.
Not at all. If a citizen, literally any citizen, requests a copy of an entry from your book and they pay the statutory fee, You have a legal obligation to provide a certified copy.
Within 10 business days.
Within 10 business days.
So what does that timeline actually look like? Like if someone walks off the street, can they just demand to browse through your book?
No, they cannot demand to simply browse through it like a library catalog. They might see other people's entries.
Right, that would be a huge privacy breach.
They have to specify the entry they want. And you have that 10-day buffer to process the request.
What if the book is locked in a safe deposit box and the bank is closed?
If you can't produce it in 10 days, you must certify that delay in writing and set a reasonable, specific date and hour when the record will be provided.
So any motivated person could potentially legally acquire the contents of your journal. Which brings up a critical question of human error.
It happens all the time.
What if a notary accidentally writes down a driver's license number out of habit? Like, say they just moved here from California. Muscle memory takes over, they write the number, and a week later, someone requests that entry.
Well, the administrative code anticipates that human beings make mistakes. If you inadvertently include personally identifiable information, you aren't instantly thrown in jail.
Okay, phew.
However, you are legally mandated to redact that personal information prior to releasing the certified copy to the public.
So you take a thick black marker and physically black out the ID number.
Exactly. You must protect that privacy at the point of release.
It's a high-wire balance of transparency and security. You have to be meticulous.
Meticulous care is the job description.
And that care doesn't end when the book is full. You can't just throw a completed journal into the recycling bin.
Definitely not. The afterlife of your record book is heavily regulated.
Which brings us to question 4. Under Senate Bill 693, how long is a Texas notary legally required to retain their records of notarial acts?
The options for this one are interesting.
Option A is 3 years. Option B is 5 years. Option C is until the commission expires. Option D is until the 10th anniversary of the date of notarization.
We'll give you a couple of seconds to lock in your choice.
Right, the correct answer is D, until the 10th anniversary of the date of notarization.
This was a massive, landscape-altering shift for Texas professionals.
10 years is a long time.
It is. Before this change, the retention period was heavily debated. Senate Bill 693 extended it significantly and provided ultimate clarity.
So it's 10 years from the date of the last notarization entered in that specific book.
Right. Think about the logistical nightmare that creates for a high-volume professional.
Oh, man. If you're doing real estate closings and filling up a journal every 3 months...
Over a decade, you are going to accumulate a library of highly sensitive public records. You must keep them secure. You can't leave them in your trunk where they can melt or get stolen.
You need fireproof lockboxes or a secure filing system. But what happens if the worst-case scenario occurs?
Like a burglary?
Yeah. You lock your doors, but your car window is smashed, and your notary bag containing your active journal is stolen.
Texas administrative rules dictate a very strict, unforgiving protocol for lost or stolen materials.
What's the first step?
If it's simply lost, like you left it at a coffee shop, you must report it immediately to the Secretary of State via their online portal.
And if it's stolen?
If you believe it was actively stolen, the protocol elevates. You must file an official police report first.
Okay, that makes sense.
Then you are legally required to upload that specific police report number or a physical copy of the report to the state portal when you report the theft.
It's treated with the seriousness of a stolen identity.
Because that is exactly what those tools can be used to fabricate.
Now, let me push back on the timeline. What about the end of a commission? Say a notary retires or just decides the liability is too high and doesn't renew. Do they still have to hold on to those books for a decade in their attic?
No, the state provides a specific off-ramp for that. If a notary resigns, is removed from office, or passes away, the county clerk of their county is legally required to obtain those record books and deposit them securely.
Oh, nice.
Or if your commission expires and you don't renew, or after that grueling 10-year retention period lapses, you can turn your books over to the local county clerk's office instead of destroying them yourself.
And we really need to warn everyone listening, failing to maintain these records properly isn't just a slap on the wrist.
Not at all. SB 693 specifically modified the statutory definition of what constitutes good cause for state discipline.
So failing to secure your book is good cause.
Yes. Failing to securely maintain it or failing to produce it when requested gives the Secretary of State good cause to take severe disciplinary action.
Like suspending your authority.
Suspension or full permanent revocation of your commission.
Wow. Keep your books safe, lock them up, and track those dates. Let's pivot from the tools of the trade to the actual human being standing in front of you.
The signers.
Right. Sometimes a signer desperately needs a document notarized, like an emergency medical directive at a hospital, but their wallet was stolen, and they have absolutely no valid ID.
It's a stressful situation.
Texas provides a very specific workaround. Here is question 5. If a signer has no valid ID and is personally unknown to the Texas notary, how can the notary legally identify them using credible witnesses?
Let's hear the choices.
Option A is by using one credible witness who presents a valid ID. Option B is by using 2 credible witnesses who personally know the signer and present valid IDs. Option C is by accepting an expired ID if a family member vouches for them. Option D is Texas does not allow credible witnesses.
Take 2 or 3 seconds to think.
Okay, the correct answer is option B, by using 2 credible witnesses who personally know the signer and present valid IDs.
This is hands down one of the most intricate procedures a notary will ever handle, and getting it wrong invalidates the entire document.
Let's break down the complex tiers of credible witnesses, because there is a single witness pathway and a double witness pathway, and you cannot mix them up.
Let's start with the single credible witness scenario, governed by Civil Practice and Remedies Code, Section 121.005.
Okay.
A single credible witness may be used if and only if the witness is personally known to the notary public, AND, that witness personally knows the signer.
So if my best friend brings their coworker to my office and the coworker lost their ID, I know my best friend. My best friend knows the coworker. That forms the chain.
Exactly. The witness must physically appear before you and take a formal verbal oath affirming the signer's identity.
And in that highly specific scenario where I personally know the witness, my friend doesn't even need to show me their physical ID, right?
That is correct. Your established historical personal knowledge of the witness is the legal foundation of the identification.
But what happens if the notary knows absolutely no one in the room? Like you walk into a hospital room and everyone is a stranger.
This is where the double witness rule from the Texas Administrative Code kicks in. If the signer is personally unknown to you and there is no single credible witness who knows you, the signer must produce 2 credible witnesses.
I picture this as building a human bridge of trust. You, the notary, are anchored on one side. The unknown signer is isolated on the other. You need 2 verified ID-holding citizens interlocking in the middle to carry that trust across.
That's a great visual. And the requirements for those 2 middle pillars are strict. Both witnesses must personally know the signer.
So they can't just be random nurses pulled from the hallway?
Nope. Both must physically appear before the notary at the exact same time as the signer. Both must raise their right hand and swear an oath under penalty of perjury.
And because you don't know them, they have to show ID.
Yes. Valid, unexpired, government-issued IDs containing their photographs and signatures.
And you have to document this human bridge meticulously in your journal. Under Government Code 406.0146, you record the name and residence address of the credible witnesses.
But remember our privacy paradox. Do not record their ID numbers, just their names and physical addresses.
Right. Now, I want to touch on option C from the question regarding expired IDs, because this is a constant point of friction.
Texas law is uncompromising. You can never, ever accept an expired ID for general identification purposes, no matter who vouches for them.
It must be current and issued by the U.S. federal government or any state government.
Correct.
Which brings up a phenomenal edge case. Texas is a massive international hub. Can a foreign passport be used as the primary ID?
It can, but only in one highly specific, incredibly narrow scenario.
Which is?
A current foreign passport can be accepted only for notarizations directly related to residential real estate transactions.
Wait, really? Why only real estate? Why an exception for a mortgage, but not for a medical directive?
It comes down to international investment and property rights. Texas has a massive market of foreign nationals buying residential property.
To facilitate global commerce.
Right. But for any other general transaction, a power of attorney, an auto title transfer, a child travel consent for a foreign passport is strictly prohibited as a standalone form of identification.
You'd have to default back to the credible witness protocols. That is a critical distinction, which brings us to the most fundamental rule of the entire profession. Breaking it carries the most severe, life-altering consequences in the handbook. Let's look at question 6.
Let's do it.
Under Senate Bill 693, failing to require the personal appearance of a signer is a Class A misdemeanor. However, this elevates to a state jail felony if the document involves what?
Here are the options. Option A, a last will and testament. Option B, the transfer of real property or an interest in real property. Option C, automobile titles. Option D, a power of attorney.
We'll give it 2 or 3 seconds to think.
Okay, the correct answer is B, the transfer of real property or an interest in real property.
We are talking about the nightmare scenario of ghost notarizations.
Yeah, where a notary affixes their seal to a document when the signer is not physically in front of them.
Maybe a husband brings in a document and says, my wife already signed it at home, she's sick, just stamp it.
Senate Bill 693 made it abundantly clear that accommodating that request is not just a procedural error, it is a devastating crime.
The law clarifies that personal appearance means physical presence in the exact same room for traditional acts, right?
Yes, or an interactive two-way audio-video presence for a remote online notarization. If you perform a notarization without that appearance, you commit a Class A misdemeanor.
But if the document involves transferring real property, like a deed of trust, the penalty skyrockets to a state jail felony.
Because the economic damage of real estate fraud is permanent and catastrophic.
You can't just undo a fraudulent house sale easily. Families lose their generational wealth because a notary decided to do a favor for a friend. You cannot notarize a document just because you recognize the signature.
They must be present, period.
But I want to challenge you on a notary's absolute worst nightmare. What if the signer is physically present? They sit right in front of your desk, but they hand you a highly sophisticated, expertly forged fake ID.
This happens.
You do your due diligence, check the hologram, the photo matches the face in front of you, you perform the act. 6 months later, the police knock on your door because the real owner's house was stolen. Are you going to state jail?
This was a massive, paralyzing concern for the profession. Notaries are administrative officials, not forensic document examiners equipped with ultraviolet microscopes.
Right.
Senate Bill 693 addressed this exact anxiety by creating a statutory affirmative defense to prosecution.
How does that protection actually function in a courtroom?
If the notary unknowingly relied on a fake but apparently valid proof of identification presented by a person who is physically sitting before them, they are protected from criminal prosecution.
So the functional key here is reasonableness.
Exactly. The fake ID must have reasonably matched the physical person sitting in front of you.
So if a 20-year-old hands me a driver's license belonging to a 60-year-old, and I stamp it anyway just to get them out of my office...
But that affirmative defense will not save you, because relying on that ID wasn't reasonable.
But if you were genuinely deceived by a high-quality forgery that perfectly matched the physical characteristics of the fraudster sitting in your chair...
The law protects your good faith reliance. You did your job. The criminal just had better technology.
It demands total diligence, but it doesn't demand the impossible. Always verify the photo, the signature, the physical description, and the expiration date.
Take your time.
Always. Now let's explore a trap that catches well-meaning notaries every single day. Texas notaries must walk a very fine line to avoid practicing law without a license.
The UPL trap.
Right. It's an offense that can lead to a third-degree felony for repeat offenders. So question 7. If a non-attorney Texas notary advertises their services in Spanish, which of the following terms are they strictly prohibited from using?
Let's list the options.
Option A is notario legal. Option B is notario público. Option C is asistente de firma. Option D is abogado.
Take a couple of seconds.
Okay, the correct answer is B, notario público.
We really need to explain the cultural and linguistic context here, because to a native English speaker, notario publico just looks like a literal, harmless translation of notary public.
Why is the state so terrified of that specific phrase?
It is a literal translation linguistically, but legally it carries a vastly, dangerously different meaning.
Oh, interesting.
In many Latin American legal systems, a notario publico is roughly equivalent to a highly trained attorney. They handle complex legal drafting, mediate real estate transactions, manage civil law matters.
Wow, so when a Texas notary uses that term on a billboard or a business card,
it actively misleads immigrants who are accustomed to that civil law system into thinking the notary has broad legal authority to fix their immigration papers or draft their contracts.
And Texas law cracks down on this predatory practice relentlessly to protect vulnerable populations.
Under Government Code 406.017, if you advertise your services in a language other than English, you must include a mandatory, highly conspicuous disclaimer.
What does it have to say?
It must state in both English and the foreign language exactly. I am not an attorney licensed to practice law in Texas and may not give legal advice or accept fees for legal advice.
And you also have to explicitly list the statutory fees you are allowed to charge, right?
Yes. Failing to comply isn't just a notary violation. It is legally actionable as a deceptive trade practice. You can be sued.
But the unauthorized practice of law, or UPL, extends far beyond just advertising in Spanish. It catches people during routine appointments in English.
Oh, constantly.
For example, a signer brings in a handwritten letter that doesn't have a notarial certificate attached at the bottom. They slide it across the desk and ask you, should we use an acknowledgment or a jurat for this?
And that is the exact moment where you must stop them. A notary who is not a licensed attorney cannot legally select the type of notarial certificate for a signer.
Even if it seems obvious.
Even then. Drafting documents, explaining the legal consequences of a document, or choosing between an acknowledgment and a jurat constitutes practicing law.
What do you do?
You can pull out a reference sheet, show them the definitions of the options, but they or their attorney must make the final choice.
Another massive, incredibly common UPL trap is the I-9 employment eligibility form. Every remote worker has to fill one out, and they constantly bring them to notaries.
The Form I-9 is an absolute minefield. The form itself does not contain a notarial certificate. It never asks for a notary seal.
So you cannot stamp it.
You cannot stamp it. You cannot affix your seal to it. Doing so is entirely illegal.
But the federal government says you can use a notary to verify the ID documents for Section 2, don't they?
The federal government allows an employer to designate anyone, including a person who happens to be a notary, as an authorized representative to review the IDs.
Okay, so you're acting strictly in your capacity as a private individual, not as a commissioned notary public.
Exactly. It is not a notarial act. You are basically functioning as the company's temporary HR rep.
Which means your $10,000 surety bond doesn't cover you if you make a mistake on that form.
Keep your boundaries crystal clear. You are an impartial witness, not legal counsel, and not an HR director.
Let's shift gears from liability to the economics of the job. How much is your signature actually worth?
Always a popular topic.
In Texas, the law sets a strict ceiling, but recent legislative changes have finally bumped it up for the first time in nearly 3 decades. Here's question 8. Under House Bill 255, what is the maximum statutory fee a traditional Texas notary can charge for taking an acknowledgment for the first signature?
All right, options are A is $6, B is $10, C is $15, D is $25.
Give it a couple seconds.
Time's up. Correct answer is B, $10.
This is an incredibly welcome update for professionals across the state who have been dealing with stagnant fees while the cost of gas and supplies skyrocketed.
HB 255 raised the fee for taking an acknowledgement from $6 to $10 for the first signature. It also raised the fee for administering an oath or affirmation to jurat to $10.
What if you have a document with multiple signatures requiring acknowledgement?
It is $10 for the first signature and $1 for each additional signature on that same document.
And if a citizen requests copies of your record book entries?
That fee went from 50 cents to $1 per page, plus a $10 certificate fee if they require the copy to be officially certified.
But the most fascinating part of HB 255 isn't just the flat numerical increase. It is the inflation clause built into the legislation.
This is a brilliant piece of statutory design to ensure these fees don't stagnate for another 30 years.
How does it work?
HB 255 functionally ties these maximum fees to economic inflation. It grants the Secretary of State the direct authority to adjust the fees a notary can charge every 5 years.
Based on what metric?
They calculate it using the inflation rate determined by the state controller, which is based directly on the Consumer Price Index for all urban consumers published by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics.
It builds harsh economic reality directly into the administrative code.
Yeah, it's very smart. But if you are charging these new fees, you have to embrace the administrative burden that comes with it. You can't just pocket the cash.
Under Chapter 603 of the Government Code, any officer who charges a fee for an official service must keep a complete itemized schedule of those allowed fees posted prominently in a conspicuous place in their office.
If a client walks in, they should immediately see what you are legally allowed to charge.
Furthermore, you are legally required to maintain a separate fee book to log all fees charged for services rendered.
Transparency is totally mandatory. You cannot overcharge, you cannot invent convenience fees and disguise them as notary fees, and you must document every single dollar related to the official act.
As we talk about the evolution of fees, we need to talk about the evolution of the act itself. We are moving from the traditional world of paper and ink into the digital frontier.
A digital world.
Texas law makes a massive, fundamental, and highly penalized distinction between an electronic document and an online notarization. Let's see if you know the difference with question 9. True or false? Performing an electronic notarization in Texas means the signer and the notary are in different physical locations communicating via webcam. Option A is true. Option B is false.
Take 2 or 3 seconds to think.
Okay, the correct answer is B, false.
This terminology trips up so many people, including massive institutional clients who demand electronic signatures when they really mean remote.
Let's clarify this crucial functional difference.
An electronic notarization is governed by the Uniform Electronic Transactions Act. Functionally, it means the document itself is digital, maybe a PDF loaded onto an iPad, and the signatures are rendered digitally with a stylus, and the notary seal is a digital image.
BUT. And this is the vital, uncompromising part.
The signer and the notary must still be sitting in the exact same room, face-to-face, physically present with one another.
So it is essentially just a traditional notarization stripped of the physical paper and ink. You don't need a special upgraded commission for this.
Precisely. Any traditional Texas notary can pull out their tablet and perform an in-person electronic notarization.
Now, online notarization, specifically remote online notarization, or RON, is an entirely different legal framework.
Under Government Code Chapter 406, Subchapter C, an online notary uses secure two-way audio-video technology to perform the act.
The notary must be physically located inside the geometric borders of Texas at the exact moment of the act. But the signer can be literally anywhere else in the world.
Which naturally leads people to ask a very logical question. I can see my client on FaceTime, I can see them on Zoom, they hold their ID up to the camera, and I've known them for 10 years. Why does the state care if I use Zoom versus some expensive approved RON platform?
Video's video, right?
Using standard commercial video chat without the specialized on-commission and approved technological platforms is entirely unequivocally illegal. You cannot do it.
Because RON requires a highly specialized infrastructure to prevent digital fraud.
You have to apply for the specific online notary commission, which requires an extra $50 fee. You have to obtain an X.509 compliant digital certificate.
Let's unpack that, because X.509 sounds like a droid from Star Wars. Is that just a fancy password?
No, an X.509 certificate acts like a cryptographic vault that wraps entirely around the PDF. When you apply it, it seals the document.
And if a fraudster tries to alter even one single pixel of that document, changing a loan amount from $10,000 to $100,000, what happens?
After you apply the certificate, the digital seal fractures, visibly showing anyone who opens the file that the document was tampered with. Zoom cannot do that.
Furthermore, the approved platforms perform credential analysis.
Right, where specialized software scans the microprinting and holograms of the ID through the camera.
And identity proofing, which generates dynamic, knowledge-based authentication questions drawn from the signer's deep credit history.
So if a hacker steals my ID, they still can't pass the identity proofing because they don't know what color Honda Civic I financed 12 years ago.
It is a highly regulated, intensely secure technological environment. You are blending ancient legal principles of human trust with cutting-edge cybersecurity.
And that leads us perfectly into our final question.
Question 10. We test the absolute high-tech frontier of Texas notarial law. We're looking at recent Attorney General opinions and the complex realities of video redaction.
Let's hear it.
Under Texas Government Code and the accompanying Attorney General Opinion KP0423, if an online notary emails a record of a transaction, what must be redacted from the audio-visual recording?
Your options are Option A, only the ID number, Option B, the audio track, Option C, biometric information and the entire image of the identification card, Option D, the face of the signer.
Take 2 or 3 seconds to think.
The correct answer is C, biometric information and the entire image of the identification card.
This is a fascinating intersection of public record law colliding with digital privacy. Let's lay the groundwork. Online notaries are required to maintain a secure electronic record of their acts, which includes a complete, uninterrupted audio-video recording of the entire session.
And they have to keep this massive video file for 5 years.
Yes, and a mandatory part of that recorded session is the credential analysis phase. The signer has to physically hold their ID up to their webcam so the notary and the software can verify it matches the person.
As a result, the video permanently captures a high-definition image of that identification card.
Representative Briscoe Cain actually sent a formal inquiry to the Texas Attorney General asking if notaries could securely email these transaction records. Because emailing massive video files containing sensitive data sounded legally precarious.
The AG issued opinion KP0423 The ruling was, yes, you can email them, but there is a massive, highly technical redaction requirement.
And that requirement loops all the way back to TAC 87.52, the same privacy paradox we discussed with the physical journals.
The law makes biometric identifiers and the image of the ID completely confidential. Because the video captures this, you can't just slap a transparent blur over the ID number.
So what did the Attorney General rule?
That the entire image of the credential, along with any biometric data, must be fully visually removed or redacted from the video file before it can be released to a requesting party.
Unless you have the explicit prior written consent of the signer whose identity was established.
Exactly, which means if someone requests that public record, you can't just hit forward on the email.
You have to acquire video editing software, scrub the footage frame by frame to black out the ID, re-render the video, and then send it. It is a massive technical burden.
The AG opinion also touched on another technological workflow question. It asked if a notary could add additional metadata, like a visible barcode, to the digital document to help track it in massive cloud storage systems.
And the AG ruled that yes, adding a barcode or tracking number is legally permissible,
provided it does not interfere with the tamper-evident nature of the digital certificate we just talked about.
The core requirement of the X.509 certificate is that once it is applied, any subsequent changes must be evident. If adding the barcode breaks that cryptographic seal and invalidates the document, it is illegal.
As long as the barcode is applied in a way that respects that security protocol, it is allowed.
And to wrap up the economics of the high-tech side, let's remind everyone about the fees for RON. Because you are utilizing these secure third-party platforms, paying for digital certificates, and managing video storage, the state allows you to recoup those substantial operational costs.
They do. Online notaries are authorized by statute to charge a $25 technology fee for performing an online notarization.
And it's completely separate from and in addition to the standard notarial fees.
So if you perform a single acknowledgment online, you can legally charge the $10 statutory fee plus the $25 technology fee, bringing the total to $35 for that single remote signature.
We have covered incredible, dense ground today. We have traveled from the physical dimensions of a traditional ink seal through the moral implications of background checks all the way to X.509 cryptographic compliance in the cloud.
And as we close, I want to leave you with a philosophical concept to ponder as you look at your stamp. Think about the sweeping history of what you do. Notarization is one of humanity's absolute oldest legal frameworks.
It dates all the way back to the scribes of the Roman Empire, who used wax seals to authenticate edicts.
Yet today, functioning as a notary in Texas involves digital encryption, credential analysis algorithms mapping facial geometry, and navigating attorney general opinions on biometric video redaction.
The tools have evolved into the realm of science fiction. The wax is gone, replaced by code. But the core human requirement, the fundamental necessity of impartial trust to make civilization and commerce function, remains exactly the same today as it was 2,000 years ago.
It is a profound, timeless responsibility.
Please email your questions to Derek@DerekSproul.com. We will try to answer as soon as possible at the end of our shows.
Credits: Exec Producer Derek Sproul, Lead Writer Marylyn Lee Trotter, Graphics Eddie Montes Travis, Music Thomas Bynum, produced by Magnificent Works Business Solutions.
Don't just be listeners of the knowledge, be doers of the knowledge. This is Notary Knowledge. Until next time.
Fraud is a constant threat to your notary commission. You need a shield. The book by Derek Sproul, Notary Fraud Shield, could provide you with some advice. Learn real-world tactics, notice red flags, and develop refusal strategies to protect your notary commission. Buy your copy of Notary Fraud Shield by Derek Sproul from any online bookstore, Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble Bookstore, booksofmillion.com, bookshop.org, Mobile Notary by DerekSproul.com, or download from Kindle to obtain your essential notary book to help with all your notarization starting today.